I will walk the great spiral, and I will let the mother, the maiden, and the crone decide what is true, who is right, and who is wrong.
Hey guys, Pete here. I wasn't planning on making another Foundation video before the recap for episode 7, and then I saw all these new previews they put out in the last few days. This will be a quick one, but I just wanted to put something together after seeing some of these shots to see what other people think might be going on in them. There will be potential spoilers for the rest of the first season of Foundation, so if you're not into that, this is your chance to leave. Before I get into the more interesting stuff, Apple TV Plus put out 2 exclusive clips for the upcoming episode 7, which isn't something I've seen them do since the premiere. I'll put links to both of these in the description so you can watch them in full if you want to. The first one was on tvline.com and features Brother Day at the Salt Palace trying to prove he has a soul to the followers of the Luminous faith. He says that he'll walk the great spiral to let the goddesses decide what is true, who is right and who is wrong. It's his plan to go against Halima, so if he completes this, I guess he'll have some credibility with the faithful. The second clip was on the Rotten Tomatoes YouTube channel and featured Brother Dawn and Azora, and a backup Brother Dawn in a tank, as it were. He's explaining to her that he'll be destroyed and replaced if his brothers find out he's different, which we can see is already starting to happen, which means he's in a pretty rough spot. This is the first we've seen that they have backups, and it looks like his days may be numbered. The final thing that came out was on the Apple TV YouTube channel. It's called the Saga Featurette, and it's a mixture of stuff we've already seen and some crazy looking shots from the rest of the season. I'm just going to go through this and point out all the new stuff that we haven't seen yet. The first thing that jumps out here is this completely different looking ship swooping down on Terminus. You can see the little flags on the ground where people marked how close they were able to get to the vault, and we see even more of this later, so we'll come back to it. Then we see Salvor on a ship. I'm assuming this is the bridge of the Invictus, considering the summary of episode 7, which says the Anacreons and their hostages board the fabled warship. There's another shot of Day in front of the Salt Palace that looks like it's connected to the spiral clip. There's a shot of Hugo in the same place we saw Salvor on the Invictus. Behind him we see the Anacreon soldier Rowan, who was with Farah's group, and then another character in front of him who's dressed differently, someone we haven't seen before, and someone who doesn't look particularly Anacreon. That's followed by Salvor wearing the suit on a ship that could be Hugo's, the one they left Terminus on at the end of the last episode, or it could also be the Invictus. Then there's this shot of Gaal's cryopod entering Synnax's atmosphere, which doesn't really add up. That's followed by another shot where we see her inside the pod. The reason it doesn't add up is that we see another shot of Gaal on the ship where we last saw her, and it looks like Harry's standing behind her. And then there's another quick shot of Hari glitching that looks like it picks up right where we left them. There's an unrelated shot of Day breaking some glass, which is more or less without context. It looks like this might be inside the palace, which you have to guess is taking place after he returns from his trip. He has his house clothes on, and that made me think of this scene I saw yesterday when I was editing my book to show video, but I went back and watched it and don't see the exact same angle. It's possible, though, this might be Brother Day smashing the glass to where they keep the original Cleon. We see Salvor outside in the suit again, and this is probably on the Invictus. It looks like there's a gun mounted behind her, and she's screaming about something that she's watching, and then we see that there's a battle going on. She sort of rolls to the ground to avoid getting shot. This probably follows this other shot where we see her in the suit approaching the Invictus, which is similar to what we saw in the trailer before the season came out. And there's one last shot of Salvor on the ship. She's looking at someone through a window, and it looks like she might be saying goodbye to Hugo. There's a shot of Gaal swimming in something that's submerged, which is probably connected to this other shot of her and her pod in the water in Synnax. The reason I'm thinking it's Synnax is because, well, she's from there, but then also the rings, which were in all the wide shots we saw from earlier in the season when we were there. She's wearing the same clothes that she was wearing in the shot of her swimming earlier. Then there's this battle scene on Terminus. Rowan is there, and he looks like he's a prisoner. And there's another group of soldiers which are probably connected to that ship from earlier. These don't look like the Imperial soldiers we've seen. And then who does that leave? The only other place I could think of would be Thespis, since it's established that they hate Anacreon. They could actually help Terminus out if it came down to it. But based on Cleon's attacks on their planet after the Star Bridge, I'm not sure they're even capable of being there and blowing stuff up. Plus, it looks like there's an ongoing battle. They have Rowan, and they look to be in control on the ground, but someone looks like they're attacking them. All of that's interesting, but it's not the thing that stands out the most, because in the background, you can see that the vault is open. So that's happening, and there appears to be some real fighting going on in front of it. It just looks open, you can't really see anything else. Maybe there's some light coming out. It's kind of hard to say against that background. There's a shot of a pretty ragged looking Brother Day, kind of sunburnt and covered with dust or sand, where he's grabbing a human skull. This is probably happening on his journey on the spiral, and the skull, I guess, is showing you that people die when they try to do this. And then this trailer closes out with another shot of Gaal on the ship, looking at what I'm presuming is the Dark Star on her trip to Helicon. Again, this looks like Hari is standing behind her. He's probably a hologram, but he looks like he's right there with her. In the voiceover, we hear her say that we're not turning around, but it's all kind of hard to figure out because these shots are somehow connected to the ones where she's on Synnax. So some interesting stuff, and it raises quite a few questions. It looks like Salvor and Farah get to the Invictus, but then they come back to Terminus, and then maybe the Anacreons are prisoners in that situation. I don't know what that says about the Invictus, so we'll have to wait and see with that. Something's going on with the vault, so I wonder if that's not the 9th or 10th episode that we're seeing there. And then Gale's all over the place. It looks like she's on her way to Helicon with Hari, and then what? She dips out. There is this one shot where we see her getting into the cryopod. Is it all part of the plan for her to go back to Synnax? And if so, why doesn't it look like there's anybody there? That would probably take a long time to get there in that little cryopod. And when she arrives, it does look like she's pretty much stuck there alone. And I think that's probably a good place to leave things. I just wanted to take a look at it all and see what you guys are thinking. So let me know in the comments, what do you think's happening in some of these shots? How do you think the season's going to come to an end? Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.